a champion in boxing and sports. In boxing, you find a way to win or you find a way to lose. And speaking of losing, that's what happened to Caleb Plant when he fought Canelo. Now, Caleb Plant is a talented fighter. Nice guy. He really is. But he's delusional. Okay? Plant is out here rambling on about him deserving or wanting to work his way back into a rematch with Canelo and saying how the outcome will be different this time. He just needs to stop with the shenanigans. This is why I come and I tell people, hold your horses, man. Caleb Plant is not beating Canelo. It's over. And like I said, man, Jarell Miller has a better chance of fighting AJ than Caleb Plant of getting a rematch with Canelo. It's never going to happen. And in boxing you can never say never, but I'm telling you never. Caleb Plant, what did he do in that match that would make somebody want to watch that fight again? That's like Amir Khan and Kell Brook recently. Why the hell would you want to watch that fight again? What Caleb Plant showed is that, what we knew. He's a good boxer, but he was on his bicycle too much. And Canelo just with that high guard and just walking him down. He couldn't hurt Canelo. And if you can't hurt him, you're in for a long night because Canelo trains so many different ways. But one of the methods he's been using as far as a fight strategy, like the last maybe 5 to 8 fights, is this thing of walking you down. And he has the ability to hold his guard up really high and still counter, still get shots off. He throws shots from awkward angles. His ability to slip, counter, combination, go to the body, his feints, his hesitation, everything that he does is just to make you stress out. Everything Canelo does is to make you physically and mentally fatigue in that ring. And when you get to that point, when you break, that's when you start making mistakes. And Canelo's just there waiting, man. It's like a sniper. And once you start rattling off those rounds, there's nothing you can do. And that's what happened to Caleb Plant. And I'm trying to think, right? Because when Caleb Plant and Canelo fought, Caleb Plant did something that I thought was very unusual. When he was talking to Canelo and asking him almost to validate his performance and saying that I'm pretty good. And it's almost like he had no self-belief. And let me tell you, if you don't believe in yourself, if you don't believe that you're the greatest, then you're not going to be, and you're not going to perform that way. And he didn't perform that way in the ring with Canelo. And going forward, I don't think he'll ever get a chance with Canelo. Not only because, he didn't look like, he didn't make it competitive, okay? But that's not the sole reason. There's 2 other reasons why. It's called, which Charlo is it, man? You know what I'm saying? He got to fight Benavidez and Charlo. All right, so we already know David Benavidez is a monster. Caleb Plant's not beating David Benavidez at all. As far as Charlo, he'd have to just box the perfect fight and stay away from him. But I don't think Plant beats Charlo or Benavidez. And I don't think Charlo beats Benavidez. I think Benavidez beats everybody. I think Benavidez beats Canelo. Benavidez is, he should be fighting at goddamn light heavyweight, to be honest with you. But I just don't think anybody beats them. So Caleb Plant would never get back to Canelo because Canelo already said, you guys fight each other. And, the cream rises to the top. So whoever rises to the top, then they'll get their shot. But Plant, time is over. He got his shot. He had a belt. Now he doesn't. And now what he has is a wish. And he's crying himself a river. And he doesn't deserve it. And he'll never get back to it because he's not beating David Benavidez. And he sure as hell ain't beating Charlo. But I think Benavidez beats Charlo. I would be rooting for Charlo because I just like him and his twin brother, man. The guys from Houston, the twins. I've been watching them since they first turned pro. and just seeing how they've come along. I think they need to check their attitudes. And over the last year, man, they got a little wake up call. Just getting arrested and stuff like that. Whether it's you stay one night in jail or you just go in, they release you after a couple hours. It's not cool. That's not what you want. There's a lot of people, a lot of young guys, even older people who look up to those guys and admire them, and they're just setting the wrong example. But that's neither here nor there. We're talking about Plant getting back into with Canelo. It's just not going to happen. Plant really needs to figure out what he wants to do, because that request to get another crack at the Mexican superstar is just not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Plus, Canelo's so tied up right now with fighting Bivol, which is not an easy fight, and then going on to fight Triple G. And, I mean, he's tied up, man. He's got commitments. So this whole year is a dead year. Caleb Plant and those guys need to be fighting. Benavidez is doing his thing, but what I think is going to happen to Caleb Plant, honestly, when you get that kind of money, $7, $8, $9, $10 million, right? It changes fighters. It really does. Look at Andy Ruiz. Andy Ruiz, man, he hit the jackpot twice. Look at Marcos Maidana. He hit the jackpot twice. Who else had three? Let me see who else. Tim Bradley. He hit the jackpot 3 times. Changes you, man. When you wake up, you only have these guys, 1,000 heirs, maybe a couple million. Then you wake up and now you got $15 million in your account, $30 million in your account. I mean, it's hard to get out there and run 8-10 miles, man. It's hard to get in that ring and have somebody punch you in your face. You know what I'm saying? It's hard to go out there, man, and do your calisthenics. Do all that shit. Who wants to do bear crawls, man? Who wants to plank? Who wants to do that, man? I mean, it's like, I'm not even going to claim this as my own, but Mike Tyson said, discipline is doing something you hate like you love it. You know what I'm saying? Something you don't want to do, but you do it like you love it. And when you have that kind of money in the bank, I don't care what anyone says, man. It's just, unless you're Canelo, or like, Pacquiao, you got to be fighting for another reason, something other than money. Or you just like money. But if none of those things are really, if your motivation was money and to make a few million and now you make 20, 30, I just can't see somebody still being able to fuel themselves and go forward and get punched in the face. But if you're a guy like who has the opportunity to want to make $1 billion and that's your goal, like Anthony Joshua, that's his goal, to be a billionaire from boxing. I can't see him now just fizzling off because he lost twice and now he's about to fight Usyk again, which is going to be a tougher fight for AJ than what people think. But when it comes to like Caleb Plant, he doesn't strike me as a guy that has the heart. He's gone through a lot. He's had a tough life. Respect everything that this man has gone through and what he's been able to achieve. But I just think he's kind of hit a wall now. And for him to get through the likes of a Benavidez, the likes of Charlo, I just don't see it happening. Not at all. So these guys want to like Canelo say, payday, he want payday. Yeah, he wants a payday. But I don't think Caleb Plant deep down believes that he can really beat Canelo. I just don't think so, man. He just needs to pack up from Las Vegas and head back to Nashville and figure out how he's going to create this round robin between himself, Benavidez, and Charlo, and maybe he can, maybe he gets lucky, he gets that shot. But I just don't think so, man. The top fighters currently on Plant's radar apparently include WBC middleweight titleist Jamal Charlo and David Benavidez, man. Who's a former 2-time titleist at 168. So Plant, he's had exchanges with these guys, and now he's saying that he wants to get out there and he wants to mix it up. So we'll see. But to come back from a loss and get knocked out the way he did, to go back in there with a Benavidez or Charlo, I just think that's a little too much, man. So Plant says that he's not going to cry and complain that he's not getting the biggest fights he won because he just lost. So he says he's willing to work his way back. But I just think he just has some real dogs in that 168-pound division, and he's just gonna have a tough time getting through those guys. Like David Benavidez is about to fight David Lemieux. Okay, David Lemieux can crack with that left hand, but David Benavidez should beat him with no problem. I personally think David Lemieux beats Caleb Plant. And some people say David Lemieux has been in too many wars. You know, Triple G ate him up. But Triple G is a different type of animal then. This Triple G sucks. And he left Abel Sanchez, and now Triple G sucks. So it is what it is. But I think David Lemieux shuts Caleb Plant down. I just think Caleb Plant is just going to be one of those. He's becoming a gatekeeper now. I just don't see him going on to do much of anything else at the elite level in boxing. He's almost becoming like an Adrian Broner. Well, actually, I wouldn't even say Adrian. Adrian Broner is a notch below Caleb Plant, like a Keith Thurman. That's what he is. Keith Thurman's time is over. He's not going on to make any more noise. And he was my favorite. He was my favorite fighter to watch. Before him, it was Zab Judah and Chris Bird, and then I liked Amir Khan, and of course everybody likes the Mayweather Pacquiao, but I like Zab Judah and Chris Bird because they helped me a lot watching their videos when I used to be in the ring messing around that southpaw stance. But just looking at Caleb Plant now, and then the guys like Keith Thurman, I just think that's what they're becoming. They're just becoming gatekeepers, man. I just think it's too much talent. Those names that the Benavidez and Charlo, they're such strong fighters. They're such talented guys. I just don't think Caleb Plant belongs in the ring with those guys. I just don't. I think he needs to take a few softer fights, get his confidence back, get a little buzz going, and then he can take on a fight with one of those big names. But I just don't think he has what it takes. I just don't think he does, man. When he fought Uz Katagui, whatever his name was, I just think it was Uz Katagui had an off night, and Caleb Plant had an on night. And that's what he's supposed to do. But going forward, I just don't think it's gonna happen because Charlo's gonna fight, Selecki, and he should beat him. Benavidez is gonna fight Lemieux, he should beat him. Charlo and Benavidez should fight, and I think one of those two are gonna get the Canelo fight. Not Caleb Plant. Caleb Plant won't even get a Charlo or Benavidez fight. I don't know who he's gonna fight at 168. Anthony Jarell, one of those Jarell brothers, maybe he'll fight one of them, but he's not getting an elite fighter no more. His time is fizzling out. So he may be trying to him to pack it up and head back to Nashville. But that's my 2 cents on it. We'll see. I like Caleb Plant, but I'm just being honest, man. It's my opinion. I just think Canelo ruined him, and I just don't think he's going to be able to come back and really compete at the elite level. I think he's going to pretty much going to be in a gatekeeper, and people now realize that he can be hurt, and if they can get beyond his activity, and he keeps his hands down a lot, they can create a lot of problems for Caleb Plant. I think he's been exposed, so we'll see what happens in the next coming months. Anyway, man, if you liked the video, please hit the like button, subscribe. Shout out to all the veterans. You guys keep safe, and as always, I'm in the breeze.